Good evening, folks. I'm here to bring you the 5-day weather forecast. The next 3 days is going to be partly cloudy, but warm and pleasant. However, the next 2 days we're issuing a major storm warning. The temperature is going to drop drastically. It's going to get really cold. We'll have wind gusts up to 80 miles an hour. We'll have thunder and lightning, plenty of that, and hail storms too. So plan on that. That's what it's going to be. Why do we care about weather forecasts? I know for me, sometimes it's just a curiosity thing. I'm just wondering what it's going to be. However, most of the time, I really want to know so that I can plan ahead and be prepared for those storms. So I know there's a lot of science that goes into weather forecasting, but one method that's used is just using computers to track and analyze years and years of weather data. And then they apply that to right now so they can predict the upcoming storms. So what does that have to do with your marriage? Well, I think you know, right? We've all experienced storms in our relationships. Have you ever felt that? Cloudy relationship or that cold day in your relationship? Have you ever experienced the ferocious winds and hails and the thundering and lightning and we have storms in our relationships. So, did those storms catch you off guard, or were you prepared? Well, just like the weather forecasting, no, with our relationships, we can draw on the history of our relationship weather and apply it to right now and be able to predict those upcoming possible storms.
So yeah, just like the weather forecasters get really good at predicting weather storms, we can get really good at predicting storms in our marriage. And I'm going to put this away because I don't think it's raining right now. So yeah, with those weather predictions, sometimes they're not too great. Sometimes they're off a little bit. But I believe that we can get super good at predicting the storms that come in our marriage because there's patterns. And looking forward, we can predict from past history when we might have anything from a mild thunderstorm to a very windy lightning storm to tornadoes to hurricanes, like all levels of storms in our marriage, right? And so by looking for those patterns, whether it be a certain time of the day, a certain day of the week, a certain time of the month, we can predict that our interaction with our spouse may cause some storm in some degree or some category. So there's actually about 5 major categories, the top 5 anyway, with our marriage relationship as far as the storms go, and topics that can cause anything from those mild storms to full-blown hurricanes, right? So the first one is finances or money. That's a big one. When I ask on Facebook, hey, what topic is hard for you to talk to your spouse about? Money, money, money. It was like really top of the list. And then the second thing can be chores, because you have the traditional male things to do, the traditional female things to do. But who says that we can't help each other cook, or who says we can't help each other work on the car together, right? But that can cause storms in our marriage. And then the third thing is intimacy. Of course, that's a big one and a very important one. The fourth one is relationships, and it can be how we raise our children or how we get along with the in-laws, right? And then the fifth one can be religion. So those are the top 5 categories of storms that we can have in our marriage. And what's really important is even if we get really good at predicting when these storms might happen, then it's no good if we don't have a plan. So just like the weather, we might want to grab our umbrella or grab a warmer coat.
Tie things down, cover
Right,
things up.
yeah. So we do this plan, and then we sometimes have to practice it and drill it to get really good at it, especially when it comes to our relationships, because there's some emotional things tied into that we might need to practice to prevent those storms. So you actually have a really great story and an idea of how we can predict, practice, and plan and practice.
Right. So this years ago, my wife and I ran a preschool daycare business together out of our home, and that was a great experience. Challenging, more than I thought it would be, but we learned a lot of things. But I was having some storms brewing in me over some things with some of the children. And I actually, through this process, made a great discovery, which I want to share with you because it applies to this forecasting. So here's what was happening. One of my really strong values is to not waste. I'm just that conservative, conserve everything, make use of everything, and make it last as long as you can. It's just really a strong value in me. And so in working with these little children, we would feed them 3 times a day. I think we fed them 3 times a day. And it never failed, somebody spills their milk. And, well, spilled milk is a waste. It just annoyed me.
It was never like the half a cup. It usually was pretty full. Right?
Something about a full cup. A full cup gets spilled. A half a cup seemed to be okay. I don't know, but so spilled milk began to become a storm inside of me towards these children, and I started to recognize this pattern, and it was getting worse. It was getting stronger, and I certainly I was highly motivated. I wanted this pattern to end. I didn't like where it was going. And I just tried something, and to me it worked a miracle. So what I did was I took that situation, I identified what it was that was causing these stormy feelings in me. So of course it was milk getting spilled. After that, I recognized that I would say things, I would think things, I would feel things, and I would do things that were not in line with some of my other values. You know, here I was protecting and being stormed by my value of no waste, but there are some other values I have that I was starting to undermine those other values of protecting children and being a calm and pleasant person. So I got back in line with some of my other values, and I made a list of my new everything. I created a new plan for these storms that I knew were going to come. So I identified the storm, what caused the storm, and when it would be happening next. And then I made a new plan. I planned on when milk got spilled, this is what I'm going to think. This is what I'm going to feel. This is what I'm going to say. And this is what I'm going to do. And I wrote all those out. So it's think, feel, say, do. 4 things was my new plan. And I wrote it all out on paper. And I read that paper several times in preparing for that next storm. And of course, when the next time that milk got spilled, I can't believe you spilled your milk. What are you doing? It's like, whoa, hold on, wait. I have a new plan. That wasn't it. And I grabbed my paper and okay, it's this. And then in that moment, I said, okay, let me do this again. And I redid it with my new plan. And the next time after milk got spilled, and I said, wait, don't do that. I have a new plan. And it took a few times. But each time that situation happened, I was more quickly able to get my new plan to flow out more naturally. And after just 2 or 3 weeks, I was having a totally different experience. someone, someone would spill their milk and I'd go, oh, wonderful. This is awesome. Great opportunity for me because I was just standing here being bored and watching you chew your food. And now I have something important to do. And I would grab the cleanup cloth and I'd go, wow, look at what you have done all over the table. This is obviously a work of art. In fact, it's music too. Do you hear those drips going off the side of the table? Drip, drip,
Just like
drip.
a storm.
It's,
Drip, drip.
it's your milk is making music. You hear how it's different as it hits the chair and hits your leg and hits the floor. All those different tones. We have a song here. And so we'd move everything out of the way and I'd say, look at this picture you've made. Look, the milk, it looks like you've made a dragon all over the table. He says, let's print it here on this cloth. And I would put that down and the cloth would soak up the milk. And it was a great time. It's like I almost look forward to it. We're having so much fun with spilled milk. It was a completely different experience. So we can apply that technique to every storm, because that was definitely a storm in relationships that I was having with children. And we like to teach that now as a way to predict, plan for, practice, and not just prepare for the storm, but actually prevent it. That's what we want you to do, is get good at predicting, yes, but more important than that, we want you to prevent the storms.